Professor Lee Wallis, who's the head of the Department of Emergency Medicine in Cape Town, who was also flown to Lagos to be part of this assessment team. This particular mission was led by Martin, Lieutenant Colonel Fanus Martin, who also arrived with this team this morning. I just want to mention a few, just to express government's own appreciation to the effort that has been done. The orthopedic surgeon, Colonel Professor Theo Leroux, and other medical officers who are specialized in aviation medicine, the nursing officers who are specialized in aviation nursing, the military paramedics who are qualified in advanced life support. I understand that this evacuation is the biggest evacuation effort by the Air Force since the dawn of democracy. They were transported by the 6-130 aircraft by the South African Air Force, which has actually been converted into an air ambulance, as you have seen the patients who were leaving the aircraft. In terms of the nature and the extent of the injuries, that's why we appeal to the media to preserve the privacy of the patients. 3 of the patients who landed this morning had their limbs amputated, others from upper knee and others below the knee. And one of them, who has been rushed to the hospital, the Steve Biko Hospital, developed gangrene during this tragedy, and their toes will be amputated. Others have fractured, others kidney failures. One of them is on dialysis. So that is the situation which we found ourselves today. The most difficult part now, the phase that we're entering in with our assessment team in Lagos, is now to start the effort of repatriating the 84 South Africans who have been identified to be deceased in this tragedy. That process will be dependent on the pace in which the assessment team is proceeding in Lagos, in particular the DNA that is being conducted as we speak, so that we are sure that all those that will be repatriating are South African citizens. And lastly, let me thank our President Zuma, who took the decision to establish this interministerial team with the specific purpose of assisting the deceased as well as the injured to be returned back to South Africa. And also to thank the Nigerian government for the cooperation that they've had with us in order to ensure that we execute this task as a matter of extreme urgency. We are keenly awaiting, as a South African government, the investigation that is being conducted by the Nigerian government, so that we get at the bottom of the cause of the collapse of this building that has caused us this national disaster. I cannot express to you how sad this thing is, even seeing the injured in that aircraft. 3 children, 2 of whom have lost both parents. They're orphaned as we speak. So we are appealing to South Africans that as we are in the moment of grief, let's hold each other's hands so that this tragedy must be dealt in a manner that it deserves, and that is with dignity. So with those few words, I would like to thank you for your understanding and for assisting us in going through this difficult journey as we bring these injured and in the not so distant future to repatriate the remains of those South Africans. Thank you very much.
That was Minister in the Presidency Jeff Radebe on the 26 South Africans who were injured in the Nigerian church that collapsed last week that have been taken to hospital at the Steve Biko Hospital in Pretoria. Now, Offensa's Timo is back with us. He's on the line. Offensa, once again, good afternoon to you. Offensa, can you hear me? Offensa, are you there? Well, it seems like we haven't got Offensa right now. We're going to try and get him back on the line. Meanwhile, the humanitarian organization Gift of the Givers says it has been granted permission to help the South African team working at the ruins of the televangelist TB Joshua's guest house in Lagos in Nigeria.
Yes. Yes, Kathy?
Who are in Nigeria who perhaps have not necessarily been identified yet and are maybe in hospitals there. What kind of work is taking place on the ground to actually bring them back home? And we've also seen some governments issue advisories on the church. Cameroon's government has done that. Will South Africa be issuing any kind of advisory on those wanting to travel back to the Synagogue Church of All Nations? Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's about it, eh? Yeah.
The person who returned to the synagogue, I don't know the specific reasons, but that's what we were told, that when they were being brought back, the person decided to go back to the synagogue. The orphan children, I think the Department of Social Development will be the one that will now start the process of how to best assist the orphans in terms of the policies and the laws of the South African government. On the issue of time, we would have wanted to bring them yesterday, the mortal remains of deceased South Africans. But as I've said, we are on a constant contact with our assessment team who are based in Lagos as we speak. As soon as everything is done, we will be able to bring those mortal remains. On South Africans not yet identified, as far as our information is concerned, we have identified all South Africans who were involved in this tragedy, 84 deceased, 26 injured, and they've all been brought back except the one who decided to remain in Lagos, in the synagogue. On the advisory, still too early days. We are waiting for the investigation by the Nigerian government, how to take things forward, and also our assessment team who is there on the ground in Lagos before we can go into the next step.
Thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of this briefing, and once again, thanks for your patience. I know it's been a long day, but we've come to the end of this briefing.
That was the plane carrying 26 South Africans who survived that building collapse at the Synagogue Church of All Nations in Nigeria that has just arrived, and they're taking those victims, or the survivors rather, to the hospital where the family members are awaiting them. Meanwhile, the humanitarian organization Gift of the Givers says it has been granted permission to help the South African team working at the ruins of the televangelist TB Joshua's guest house in Lagos in Nigeria. More than 80 people, most of them South Africans, died when that guest house, owned by Joshua's Synagogue Church of All Nations, collapsed over a week ago. The Gift of the Givers chairperson Imtiaz Suleiman says that the team has been working since Saturday.
From Saturday right till now, it has been a very, very friendly relationship with them. But the first thing is, of course, to find the South Africans, which they did. They got kicked out of the hospital on Wednesday, but then from Thursday onwards, they went to the other hospitals, and so they ascertained what they require. They said, we'd like to call home. They say we require clothes. So yesterday morning, bought clothes, and they bought hygiene packs and, toothpaste and things like that. So my teams went and did shopping for them. The plane is coming to take mostly the injured people away, the more serious ones first, the more injured ones, then the next ones. And they said many of the people do have their tickets, but they will come back with their own tickets.
The ANC's call for Parliament to protect the President, Jacob Zuma, and his deputy, Cyril Ramaphosa, from humiliation and embarrassment has been rejected by the DA and the Council for the Advancement of the